Hello, and welcome to the Lore of Braunhaven. Today we're going to be continuing our discussion of the of Arabashia, and particularly we're going to be focusing on the gods of Arabashia and the religious beliefs of the region. And pretty much these beliefs go all the way over and encompass most, if not all, of the El Rabaria Desert, uh, clear up to the edge of the eastern plains, probably with the exception, of course, of the Serpent Kingdoms. But for the most part, the people, including the Bedouin tribes, uh, tend to worship these deities. And to a lot of foreigners to Arabashia and outsiders, they believe that all of these gods that are worshipped in Arabashia are genies. This is the common misconception across the world, but this is not entirely true. There are genies that have taken on a demigod status in Arabashia and the El Rabaria Desert, but uh, these weren't the original gods. These came with the mercenary armies originally of the Ifrit that were hired by the archdevil Lazak when he attempted to take over the region. And they kind of dug in like ticks, and they have just held on. And of course, following the Ifrit were the Jinn, as well as other genies. But they have all dug into the desert and kind of taken on this demigod status, and this perception across most of the world uh, has kind of clouded the true relationship that Arabashians in the current age have with their gods. So the primary deity that the Arabashians worshipped is named Nassim. He's known as the King of the Gods, the Infinite Time, and the Rising Sun. He does have holy days on the 1st, 8th, 15th, and 23rd days of the month of Octus. And the Arabashians believe that it was Nassim, not Montes, but Nassim was responsible for creating the known world. He created the infinite time in which he brought the astral plane into existence, and he forged the celestial palace and created all of the other planes of existence that float in the astral sea. After he created the prime material plane, his primary goal was to create a counterbalance. Nassim is seen as everything that is orderly and good in the universe, and he wanted to create a counterbalance to that. And so he created the the fellow god, his brother god, Basim, and who is seen as everything evil and dark. And by doing this, Nassim's wisdom was to give mortals the ability to choose between the two. He gave them the ability to create their own morals. And even though he created Basim, uh, the two engage in what can only be called proxy battles using their own mortals, followers, to wage wars against one another. And so you will see, uh, you know, vast armies, usually of Nassim, going against shrouded cults of Basim. And this hasn't happened for a while, but in the past there were holy wars that were fought between the two. Nassim being everything that is good and light and orderly doesn't seek to punish mortals for their punishment. He's not judgmental in that he will say, if you do something against my command, then I will send you to the nine hells. That doesn't happen. Instead, his belief is, or his beliefs are, that mortals kind of create their own punishment. That if they act wickedly or are immoral, that they end up punishing themselves because they have invited his brother Basim into their lives and have corrupted their own souls. He doesn't need to punish them. A lot of, because of he has so many holy days in the month of Octus, much of that month is dedicated over in Arabashia to his worship, and there are great festivals that are held in his honor. They, you know, on his holy days of the 1st, 8th, 15th, and 23rd month, there are great times of worship, and great masses are held at the temples, mosques, and shrines throughout Arabashia. There are feasts and festivities, parades in the larger cities, and these run usually most of the day, but they take up a lot of the evening and after dusk as well. So there are these festivities that run the entire 24 hours of the day. And they serve these traditional foods. One is Arabashia Delights, which is a type of candied fruit that is covered in a powdered sugar. They have they also serve a sesame bread that is lightly coated, usually in some kind of rendered animal fat, butter, or melted butter, or what have you, or covered in olive oil. And this is usually served with a very rich, strong, dark coffee that is usually grown in and around the Grand Caliphate of Arabashia. Nassim is always depicted as a shirtless human man of large proportions. He has an ivory crown that he wears that is usually accented with gold and jade. And he always is depicted with having a long curly beard that hangs down to about his mid-chest. Then there's his brother Basim, who is known for evil, chaos, lies, war, destruction. Um, he does not have any particular holy days. And as I stated, he was created by Nassim in order to be a counterbalance to Nassim's good and orderly fashions, while Basim is the complete opposite of that. He is chaos. He is darkness. He is evil. And because of this, most Arabashian cities and even caliphates on the whole have banned worship of Basim in their borders or in their towns and cities. The idea is that they fear that worship of Basim will bring about the ruin of civilization, and they point to the past that perhaps that was the reason why Arabashia endured so many dark days during the War of the Heavens, and even following the coming of the three. This might not be the most prudent course of action, though, because when you push something or ban something, there are those that will run to it or covet it simply because it is banned and not allowed to be thought of. And this is the case for Basim. This has kind of pushed the cults of Basim into the shadows, and almost every major city has cults that lurk in the background that worship Basim. One of the traits of Basim worship is that the god Basim revels in blood sacrifice of humans, and it is said that mortals who worship him will bathe in the blood of those so sacrificed. And there are almost no depictions of Basim that are of a humanoid stance, really. Yes, the depictions that are found or have been found in some of the cult shrines do depict him as humanoid, but he's not a man. He's depicted as a humanoid-shaped shadow that seems to trail off into darkness. After Nassim created Basim, His next goal was to create mortals, us, and in doing that, he created Hiba, the goddess of fertility, the birth mother, and also known as the pregnant warrior. Hiba is a lesser god. Her province is fertility, health, love, water, wisdom, and war. And she is the goddess of fertility and war at the same time. A lot of people would think that these two aspects are counterbalanced or are opposite each other. The Arabashians disagree. They just think that that's another part of this goddess. She's venerated for bringing life to the known world, and it was her creation of mortals that really brought Nassim the most joy. She's always depicted as a very beautiful pregnant woman with long dark hair, and she wears a golden circlet. And she's always seen riding in a chariot drawn by two flaming horses across the morning sky. Priestesses of Hiba are frequently found in the temples and shrines being pregnant. This is especially true after her holy day on the 5th day of the month of Maricus, when she is celebrated with festivals of fertility and love. And children that are born to the priestesses of Hiba generally are then sent to serve in a pasha's or sultan's court. If they are male, they are made into eunuchs, and if they are female, they are sent to exist in the pasha's or sultan's harem. And a lot of foreigners and outsiders to Arabashia see this as cruelty, that these children aren't being treated properly. But in Arabashian society, the position of court eunuch or being one of the harem is viewed as a very elevated position in Arabashian society, and so they are thought of that these children are actually better than everybody else in some way. And the last two gods of major import to Arabashian society are Anubis and Kebeshet. And most people outside of Arabashia think of Anubis as being the Arabashian god of the dead, but this isn't. This is not entirely accurate. Anubis and his daughter Kebeshet are the deities that guide the soul when one dies. They guide the soul across the veil into the shadow realm, and without this guidance, it is said that souls can become lost in the veil and be driven mad in their desperate attempts to either return to the prime material plane or make their way to the shadow realm. In their attempts, they go crazy. It's also said that a lot of these lost souls are what is drawn forth by illusionist clerics, or wizards, when they, or even necromancers, when they are creating some of their spells, spirit guardian type spells. That's where these come from. They come from lost souls that have been driven mad by being lost in the veil. It is said that Kebeshet is the one who gifted mortals with the knowledge of embalming, and along with that, she gave the knowledge of the sacred waters that are needed to give a life everlasting. Anubis then took this a step further and granted the mortals the knowledge of the salt natron, which, when added to the sacred waters, can be used to preserve and delay decay of a corpse. And it's believed that if you don't properly embalm and mummify corpses in Arabashia, that the souls cannot continue their existence in the Shadow Realm, because when the dead finally make their way to the Shadow Realm, they are said to live a fairly pleasant life, and they gradually forget who they were in their mortal shell, and are wiped. Their slate is kind of wiped clean, and then at some point they are judged in the court of the god Octus, who then judges whether or not they are to be sent to a higher plane, uh, that is, their reward for a life well lived, to their individual deities, or they are sent to a lower plane, to the nine hells, possibly even the abyss, and hopefully not to Tartarus, in a consequence of their actions, being a punishment. And of course, this is again because of how Nassim handles it. This is all brought upon them by themselves and their actions. And so, in order to live this life in the shadow realm, the body must be preserved. And it is said that if you don't mummify the corpse, if the corpse were to rot away, that the soul that is existing in the shadow realm will then slowly start to fade away and basically cease to be. Anubis and Kebashet are depicted as one would expect of our own realm. They are considered to be tall, large-sized humanoids with the heads of jackals and flesh that is as black as obsidian. And Anubis is always depicted wearing a kilt that is woven of reeds, while his daughter Kebashet is dressed in a lithe dress of the same material, made of reeds. So that is the Arabashian gods. Next time we will discuss the genie demigods that have entrenched themselves in Arabashia. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.